Charlotte had always imagined her wedding day as a moment of pure joy, the kind of day where every detail fell perfectly into place and every smile carried the weight of love. But as she stood at the edge of her dream, she had no idea that this wedding would be remembered not for the happiness it was meant to hold, but for the storm it would unleash, a storm that would shatter her peace, expose buried truths, and change the lives of everyone involved. It all began with the invitations. Charlotte poured herself into every small detail, handpicking the flowers, agonizing over the color of the ribbons, and making sure every envelope carried the essence of love she believed in. To her, this wasn't just a wedding, it was a promise, a chance to show the world the depth of her heart. And when she sent out the invitations, she expected joy in return. Warm congratulations, maybe even a few tears of happiness. But instead, her joy was met with shadows. Some of the very people she expected to celebrate her love, the ones she thought would stand by her side, began to grumble. Family members questioned her choices. Friends she had trusted whispered behind her back. The criticism was sharp, unkind, and it struck her in places she didn't even know could hurt. You should have done this differently. Why invite them? Why spend so much? Their words were knives disguised as concern, and Charlotte began to feel her dream slipping through her fingers. The wedding she had envisioned, a sanctuary of love, was suddenly turning into a battlefield of opinions, judgment, and jealousy. But Charlotte was not a woman who gave up easily. Each time the whispers grew louder, she reminded herself why she was doing this. She loved her fiancé, and she loved the life they were building together. For her, this wedding was not about pleasing everyone else. It was about creating a memory that would last forever. And so, she fought back the tears, straightened her shoulders, and moved forward. She smiled even when her heart ached. She wrote her vows late at night in the quiet of her room, pouring her soul into words she hoped would outshine the noise of criticism. She told herself, again and again, that love was stronger than judgment, that love would silence the whispers. What Charlotte didn't know, however, was that the storm was only beginning. The disagreements about the invitations were just the first crack in the foundation. What lay ahead, the revelations, the betrayals, the unraveling of secrets, would turn her wedding into something far darker than she had ever imagined. Because sometimes, the happiest days are not stolen by chance. They are destroyed by the people we trust the most. And Charlotte was about to learn that lesson in the most painful way. I laughed so hard that Loretta nearly spilled her wine. $500, Marcus? 5 minutes ago, it was supposed to be a family favor I was doing out of love. And now that you've realized I'm not as dumb as you thought, you're suddenly ready to pay me? $500? To ruin my coral dress chasing after kids I don't even know? From the background, Tiffany's sharp voice pierced through the speaker. Charlotte, there isn't enough money in the world to drag me back to that wedding now. But let me give you some free advice. Next time you plan on using someone as an employee, maybe ask them first. It's called being polite. 2,000. Marcus shouted this time. His voice cracked, desperation dripping from every syllable. Marcus, my son, I said slowly, choosing every word with precision. Listen to me carefully. If you had $2,000 to pay me to be a nanny, then you also had the money to hire a caterer instead of making me drain my retirement to pay for your wedding buffet. But it was more convenient, wasn't it? Easier for Mom to pay for everything and still work for free. Loretta topped off my glass with a sly smile and whispered, You are brilliant, my friend. Mom. Marcus's voice broke into pleading now, the mask of control slipping completely. Please don't do this to me. It's my wedding. Marcus, I replied, calm as still water. I'm not doing anything to you. You and your fiancé made a decision. You decided I was your personal employee without asking me. I'm simply making my own decision too. I don't accept the job. We can't get a caterer at this hour. Marcus panicked. The guests are going to be hungry. I let silence hang before answering. That's called planning, Marcus. When you organize a wedding, you're supposed to secure food and childcare. You assumed you had both for free, but you were wrong. Tiffany's shriek tore back through the phone, venomous now. Charlotte, you come back to the hall right now, or we will never forgive you. I pulled the phone away from my ear, smirking at Loretta. There it is. I murmured. The real Tiffany. Placing the phone back, I answered in the calmest voice I could muster. Tiffany, my dear, there's nothing to forgive. You planned to use me. I simply chose not to let myself be used. It's as simple as that. And frankly, after hearing your true tone of voice, I'm very glad I'm not there. You're a selfish old lady. You ruined my wedding. Tiffany shrieked. No, sweetie, I replied, my tone cool, sharp as glass. You ruined your wedding when you decided saving money was more important than treating your mother-in-law with respect. I just refused to be an accomplice to my own humiliation. Marcus's voice returned, panicked and shaky. Mom, the kids are running wild. One got into the kitchen and knocked over the entire cake. Another is hiding under the main table. The parents are furious. Mom, please. Where's that clever Audrey? I asked pointedly. Can't she help her sister with the kids? She says she didn't know she had to. That it was your job. Marcus groaned. How convenient, I muttered. The same Audrey who was laughing about the old lady watching the screaming brats now pretends she had no idea. Marcus, please, he begged again. But I was done. Marcus, I'm going to hang up now. My chocolate massage is waiting. But before I do, let me say this. I hope this experience teaches you that your mother is not your personal employee. I am a 72-year-old woman who deserves respect, not a servant to be used when it suits you. Wait, Mom. What? You're really not coming? I'm really not coming, I answered with finality. Enjoy your wedding. We'll enjoy our spa. Tomorrow we'll see. For now, I want you and your wife to reflect on what family truly means. Mom. Goodbye, Marcus. My masseuse is waiting. And unlike you two, she's treating me with respect, because I'm paying her for her services. I hung up. Without hesitation, I placed my phone on silent and set it aside. Loretta clapped her hands together, beaming. Charlotte, that was masterful. Absolutely masterful. How do you feel? I leaned back, exhaling for what felt like the first time in years. Free, Lo. For the first time in 2 years, I feel completely free. And with that, we rose from the terrace and drifted back into the warm embrace of the spa. Outside, the chaos of my son's wedding raged on, but inside, in that sanctuary by the lake, I was finally reclaiming the dignity I had lost. It all started on what should have been one of the happiest days for my family, Marcus's wedding day. I had spent weeks preparing dishes for the buffet, carefully following family recipes that had been passed down for generations. My kitchen smelled of roasted herbs, baked bread, and simmering sauces, and though I was exhausted, I felt proud. This was my son's big day, and I wanted everything to be perfect. But as the wedding unfolded, I began to feel something shift. It wasn't the food, it was the way I was being treated. I had been asked, almost casually, to keep an eye on the children during the reception. At first I thought it was a misunderstanding. Surely, someone had hired childcare or arranged supervision. But no. As guests began dropping their children off near my table, it became painfully clear. I wasn't just Marcus's mother that day. I had been turned into the babysitter. The humiliation burned. Parents I didn't even know kept asking me when snacks would be ready or where their children should sit, as though I were staff at the event. Some even thanked me for offering to watch the kids. I hadn't offered anything. No one had asked me. They had simply assumed. I tried to stay calm, but inside I was crumbling. Instead of sitting with the family, I was stuck managing restless children while Tiffany's side of the family smiled, chatted, and enjoyed the celebration. I saw Tiffany laughing with her bridesmaids, looking radiant, while I felt invisible. The final straw came when I overheard Tiffany's sister whispering to her, "It's convenient your mother-in-law's around. At least she's good for something." Good for something. Not someone to be honored, celebrated, or even respected. Just good for something. That night, after the guests left and the exhaustion settled in, I sat in my living room replaying every moment. For 2 years, I had been saying yes to every little request. Watching the kids, cooking meals, helping with errands, stepping in at the last minute whenever Marcus and Tiffany needed me. I told myself it was love, that it was normal for a mother to give endlessly. But on that wedding day, surrounded by noise, children, and whispers behind my back, I realized the ugly truth. I wasn't being treated like Marcus's mother. I was being treated like unpaid help. So, I made a choice. A difficult, heartbreaking choice. I decided not to go to the wedding banquet the following day. Instead, I wrote a letter explaining exactly why. I told Marcus and Tiffany that I loved them. But love didn't mean allowing myself to be disrespected. I needed them to understand that I was not a resource to be drained, not an employee to be ordered around, but a woman with dignity who deserved respect. As I slipped the letter into Marcus's hands, I could see the confusion and pain in his eyes. He didn't understand yet, but I hoped one day he would. That night, I prayed he would read my words, not with anger, but with reflection. The house felt eerily quiet the next morning. No frantic calls asking me to pick up something for the wedding. No texts asking me to fix a last-minute problem. For the first time in years, I wasn't running around trying to solve someone else's crisis. I was sitting in my own space, breathing freely. But my peace didn't last long. By evening, Marcus showed up at my door. He looked pale, his tie loosened, his voice heavy with the weight of the day. "Mom," he said softly, "we need to talk." And that's where everything began to change.